Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us. Thank you, Digital Hollywood. Now, if you still think virtual production is mostly about LED walls, this panel may complicate that idea a little bit. What we are really seeing is the emergence of a new operating system for storytellers, one that brings together real-time 3D, AI, cloud workflows, spatial capture, digital assets, and a much earlier integration of production and post. That creates extraordinary creative possibilities, but it also forces us to look at harder questions to ask, like what decisions now need to happen before the cameras roll? Where is AI genuinely helping artists and production teams work faster? And where is it still more promise than practice, we like to say? Who owns the digital sets and locations and objects and the data that we create? And as these tools evolve, are we replacing people or making experienced creative and technical talent even more valuable? Spoiler alert. Fortunately, we have three people with very different and highly complementary perspectives to help us work through those questions. I'm super excited to learn myself today. Jess Loren is the founder and CEO of Global Objects, working at the frontier of 3D scanning, spatial data, generative AI, and rights aware digital assets. Her amazing work raises some fascinating questions about whether the next studio backlot may actually be a database of reusable places and objects and worlds. James Blevins of Mesh has worked at the intersection of production and post and virtual production and real-time tech, helping teams turn ambitious ideas into workflows that can actually survive a production schedule. And last but not least, Rami Katrib is the founder of Digital Film Tree and a longtime leader in cloud-enabled production and post. He brings the perspective of someone who really understands what happens to all of this data and creative intent after the excitement on set, and how production and post are increasingly becoming one continuous process. So we're going to keep this conversation candid and real, and we're going to look at what's working now, what still maybe needs to mature a bit, and what all this really means to everybody who actually make the work. So, James, Rami, Jess, thank you for being here. Let's get into
Thanks
it.
for having me.
Hi,
Yeah.
boys.
Pleasure.
Hey.
Yeah. So James, I'm gonna start with you.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. So James, are we, I'm reflecting on our earlier discussions that we've had. Are we reaching a point where production effectively begins in the writer's room? Is that what's
Yeah,
happening?
sure. Well, I think that oh God, where do we start? I want to start when I first met Rami, and I'll tell the story I always tell. Our the what was the show? The Housewives show, was that what it was? What was it? Desperate
Am
Housewives.
Desperate
Yeah,
American Housewife?
American, yeah, I think, yeah, Desperate Housewives.
American
It was
Housewife.
we were in that show at Disney, and we were de-intermediating, and I met you, and you were beginning to get rid of tape layback and just sort of go into a file-based workflow, and it was way back then that things began to just really start to fly. It's that's right about the time that record out from film stopped happening, and we just started to go completely digital in the pipeline. I went on from there to Netflix, where it became clear to me that with their rock star developers up in Los Gatos, you could ask for anything on the supply chain, the distribution supply chain, and it would just be written for you. And it was kind of funny because I would talk to people at studios going, "Oh, it's such a hard year. We're doing 8 movies this year. It's so hard." And I had been ratcheted up to work so fast with the technology slathered all over the distribution pipeline. I was delivering a show a week, and some of those were episodic. And so it became clear to me that by just enabling and augmenting current workflows on the distribution side, we would be able to 10x our output. It was tough, but it was really exciting, a lot of fun. I think now it's production's time, and I have been involved in projects that have taken concepts like John Favreau's sort of Jungle Book approach, of seeing everything in camera. And, Rami actually used a great system in Umbrella Academy to sort of enable previs in just, directors reaching over on their iPads and sort of, in the middle of the day or before they go to bed and making some changes to camera. So it's happening and been happening now for quite a bit.
In like way upstream, like in
Yeah,
writers'
in
room
dev,
stage,
in
or-
dev, as
yeah,
an extension
yeah,
of the writers' room, in
yeah,
fact. And so,
yeah.
yes, it is absolutely already here. It's already enabling people from the in the writers' room. And I've got there's more anecdotes to tell on that, but yeah, I mean,
It's
it's already
amazing to
happened.
think. It's amazing to think about it that way because not too long ago it wasn't even thought of. They had kind of their own images in the head of what this scene might look like, but that was all created later. They just
Yeah,
needed to get the right words on
yeah.
paper, really. So it's fascinating. Rami, I mean, when what problems reach the post end of the equation. Have you seen this alignment not happening in the right way and early enough, and what happens later, or how does that manifest itself?
Yeah. Um, Thank you for that, James. That just is crushing how much time has gone by and so quickly. So not to belabor with 25 years of, file experience or data. I would say the last 15 years has been kind of a really steady progression of imaging advancements, like in the 2D space, the 3D space. Going back 15 years, just as an origin to where we are now, from our perspective, like a vendor serving storytellers, um, it was absolutely amazing back in the day when you would create a set. It looks cartoony, and you would create cartoony characters, and you can start blocking the scene. And it was magical if you were able to get some of the departments to join that process. For example, the writers, imagine them prototyping the physics of what's in their imagination, and then they see something visual that is contextual to what's coming out of their brains. And if you see their reaction when they do it for the first time, they're like, oh, that's my story. It's been a mixed bag. Some people are upset seeing their story. It throws off the whole vibe. Some people relish it because they use it as a tool to start staging complex scenes. Or like you mentioned, Umbrella Academy. I mean, there's some scenes that they can shoot a 7-minute take with fighting and stunts and in-camera effects, and there's so much complexity. So the day that a production designer, art director, DP, director, and every now and then a showrunner meet in a virtual environment and work out the mechanics of their story is magical. It's just another level of collaboration. And
That's
I
cool.
would I would dare say that is to this day a minority of all traditional
Yep.
feature films and TV. So there's a lot of space for that to evolve. And obviously we can deep dive into what's going
Yeah.
on now in that trajectory.
That's cool. I want to jump to Jess. You made a strong point in our prep call, uh, about AI. I mean, we have to talk about AI a little bit, right? So let's
Dive
just
right
get into
in.
it.
What's
Yeah,
AI?
yeah, it's this thing it's this new craze. But you made a strong point that instead of prompting, I think it was something like instead of prompting your way to the right answer, give the AI a real 3D, kind of more traditional 3D foundation first. Tell me about that. You explained it better, and I think that's super interesting. Remind me what that was.
Yeah, no, I just think, we're here at Global Objects, we're basing everything on the real world, right? Like, and as far as like storytelling or world building, everything we've done in the past has been with real, true props and things. And so we're creating that catalog, as you will, of all of the digital versions, digital copies, digital twins of all the things that have been used in world building. Actually, so right outside this door, I'll just take you guys to show you really quick. while we're doing my intro. I'm here, so why not show you? All the amazing things, these are probably the bikes from Stranger Things. All of the shelves that are full of all of the prop building that everyone has been using for millennium. So we're digitizing, here's we're
Yeah.
digitizing it all.
Wow.
So
It's it's so funny. You just went through 3 aisles of bikes, but if she
yeah.
keeps going, there's
Oh.
a bunch of Western gear, and there's just a bunch of.
Yeah.
So I just
Yeah.
shot there on Jess's stage, and the production designer, who by the way was able to take her design and go straight to a virtual production environment, but the art department was there, and they were just having a ball, running into where Jess is and grabbing. There's a whole Western section, grabbing all
You really
sorts
want me
of
to go
stuff for
over
the
there?
department.
I can
No, I
go.
don't need you to. No, you don't
If you
need to. I'm
talk,
just
I'll
telling
go
them.
do it.
No,
If you
don't
keep
do it.
talking.
Don't do it. We're going to lose you. But it's my point is that it was a perfect blend of the virtual and the practical showing up on their stage, and it was a big success because we just went to go color time the stuff, and the photochem guys were like, "Oh, boy, we're really looking forward to seeing the virtual production stuff," and we had to tell them, "Oh, you've been color timing it all day." So
Wow.
it was a
Well,
lot of
and
fun.
that's that. How does, production and post knowledge, or what production and post knowledge does an AI company discover it's missing when it encounters those ACEs or color pipelines
Yeah.
or real deliverables and all that stuff?
Yeah. Can I answer that one? I'm sorry. I don't
Yes.
want to. Yeah.
Well, you
Okay. So
prompted it. I'm
yeah, I
curious
did.
about it.
Okay, well, here's the thing. A couple of things on that. It's the people who've been delivering know how to get to the last mile, right? Or whatever distribution is in this environment, right? The AI tools are coming online. I'm a big fan, by the way. And by the way, when we talk about AI, I think we really need to spend an extra time just saying exactly what function we're using because AI is far too broad at this point, right? And so when I'm using this technology, it's probably in a machine learned form, often embedded in something on an NVIDIA card called DLSS, where I can get my virtual production fully ray traced in real time, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. But if I said I'm using AI, I might get booed somewhere, right? So it's very important to know exactly what it is that we're talking about. Second thing is, all these tools are coming online right now. And I was just rereading some of the SMPTE documents and realizing, oh my goodness, we're going to larger formats. The contrast ratio is getting to be a problem. We're going to be resing things up and readdressing things in AI, going from 8-bit to an ASUS 10-bit, 16-bit float, half float world. I think it's time to go back into SMPTE and sort of get some agreements on what the pipeline is.
That's
I
a
think it's
different
time.
panel discussion.
Yeah, but I'm ringing the bell now. I'm ringing the bell now.
No, that's interesting. But Jess, just kind of back to that other thing, the notion of instead of like starting with a prompt, starting with actual 3D
Yeah.
foundational assets,
Things
te-
are real. They have physics. These sunglasses are, I can prompt my way into these probably, or I can retrieve it from a database that already has a 3D asset ready to go. That's fully cleared, right? All the studios want to talk about the digital backlot.
yeah,
Well, we're actually making that happen. So
that's cool. And that's fortuitous that you're in that location right
yeah.
now, doing that stuff. Um, so splats.
Okay.
Can someone explain what that is? Like when we say seriously, actually, when we're talking about a splat, like I kind of get it, but really, Rami, maybe I'll pick on you. What are we
Mhm.
talking about?
I mean, again, as part of an evolution of advancements in imaging, right? There's been photogrammetry, right? That was a buzzword a hot second ago. There's point clouds, right? There's 3D spaces. So I see Gaussian splatting, and there's kind of two general types: 3D Gaussian splatting, which is like an environment, and we just recently did it on several prominent TV shows. And then there's 4D, which is bananas. Just imagine an array of cameras capturing a human or humans or scenes or sets. And I mean, think one of our shows is shooting at 8K. They average about 10 terabytes a day. So imagine shooting 100 terabytes a day, right? Because you're multiplying all those cameras.
So this might be a good time to roll your video examples, and maybe
Sure.
you can.
So this
you
is
can-
humble. This is such a good solve. So remember how I said back in the day it used to be cartoony or not very high fidelity or high resolution to get an environment? Our VFX team and others, our colleagues in the VFX industry, we're always trying to, leverage a 3D environment so that they can composite it in a way that looks realistic, but it's just been hard time for that to happen. Now we're pretty much there. I
So
think,
Rami, we're showing a video of the living room kind of fly through. What
yes,
are we
without
looking at here exactly?
exactly. So the shows like Shrinking, Rooster, Bad Monkey, like really high-end shows, these are the physical sets. So what we do is we schedule it just to demystify the process. They're shooting, they're busy, right? So we schedule time and we shoot all the sets so that they are now an asset. Very, very similar to what Jess was just saying. And we could always post-process a section so it looks even better. But just look at this reference, which is now being used by production design, the people who build the sets, right? Because you can measure this. It's LiDAR and video meshed together. It doesn't take that long to scan it because there's products like XGrids, which I think you use as well, Jess, and
I just used it
James.
on a show. Yeah.
Yeah. So the tools are becoming commoditized, right? We're all using similar hardware and software tools, and some will even build their own software. But so with this, we can now say to the production that we can do a pickup scene without having to build the set if the set has been struck. Or it could be used for promo, like they might want to promote the show in the future. Or it's opening up so many kind of conveniences. For example, if you're coming back the next season, you might not build a certain section of that set because you realize that there's only 2 scenes for 10 episodes. So you can just use the virtual one as a matter of convenience instead of just building it. And so it just brings, I would say, very utilitarian benefits to all the departments that are there in production.
So Seth, that actually lends really well to the video I shared with you. It kind
Yeah.
of shows the deconstruction of a set. So if you want to play that, we can.
Yeah, and so which section of the video should we show? Because it's just a little long for this.
Yeah, the
but
first part is fine.
the first part, okay.
Yeah, it shows how
let's
to
dive in.
scan. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. One moment.
Will the sound work too?
It will, because I'm pressing the right buttons.
Okay.
Time. We practiced before you were here. Here we go. This should
Thanks
work.
to James.
Every production starts with a set or a location. But you can't always be there. That's why we built Go Scout, your all-in-one planning platform for film and television. Scan any location with the XGrids Portal Cam. The Portal Cam uses LiDAR, light detection and ranging. Laser pulses fire outward, bounce off every surface, and return with precise depth data. This results in millions of 3D Gaussian splats, colored pixels with depth, that reconstruct your entire location as a photorealistic digital twin. Now let's get to work. Welcome to Go Scout.
It's very cool.
You can stop it there. Yeah. So that shows like how Rami makes his rooms, exactly how those are constructed.
Here,
So we
let me
probably
show
should have
you.
done that the other way around and show this and then showed Rami's. We can go back to it though, but
Here,
very
I
cool.
got to
Yeah.
show you. This is an XGrid capture. Although there are other technologies coming around, I am agnostic. This is Monsters Moonshine's production that they did at ISS. Chris Nichols and Dan Thron. Richard Crudo was the DP, but the production designer here was able to contribute to this wall piece. But that is a building that's in Northern California, up in Murphy. And we caught it during the day, and then used the color time the ARRI plates before we associated it with the splat after we made a day for night adjustment on it. And then We put it into Vantage. Vantage is allowing you to relight this splat, which is a big deal. And
Very big deal. Like not like big deal.
it's a pretty big deal, which means you can have fire elements, and as you can see, they're lighting the wall. It was a lot of fun and really easy. And like I said, the art department got involved, which kind of speaks to, I mean, Rami and I and all of us have really been trying to demystify the virtual production world and put it just as much in the hands of the art department as it is in the hands of VFX, and sort of really allow those budgets to foster the use of this technology.
It's super fascinating. I just find this whole area fascinating because this is not my area of expertise. So it's super interesting and relevant. Let's talk about people a little bit. Like, how does this change people? And what I mean by that is tasks, roles. Where are new tasks or new areas of expertise that need to be learned or cultivated or procured, and what expertise that's existing from the traditional or previous workflows and environments apply today, and what don't, might be a good question. Yeah, Jess, I know you have a lot to say about this one. Yeah.
I think there's VFX artists as a whole have had like this dark cloud on their head about AI, and I would say that they're in such a position that it's like superpower. Like if you were put on your superpower suit, it's now time for a VFX artist to be like, yes, this is my time. I think the workflows that we're creating in working with many of the studios now is what was traditionally seen as post is now very much in previs and all throughout production now. So my team just finished a 10 series episode with an entire AI workflow, and they're all VFX artists that we were able to employ in the state of California and Los Angeles. So I think we were able to bring in a lot of heavy hitters from the VFX industry who just needed to be shepherded into a new workflow and understand that you can be great, you can be powerful, and it's all about the people behind those workflows. So I'm very proud to say that we had everyone in LA, we had them in our studio, and we just finished 10 episodes. So and also saying that the same studio has just greenlit 3 other series for our teams local to Los Angeles, and these are VFX artists. So I'm just empowering post and bringing them into an entire workflow.
So when it comes to at least virtual production, AI replacing people, fake news?
Oh, God's sake.
Yeah, I mean, I would say partly, right? Because my experience, similar to what Jess just highlighted, is additive. It's additive. So I can't show some of the projects we're involved in where you shoot people just like there was before, but it's more dynamic. You can now reposition the camera, right? So you shoot them once with this array. Now I could not only relight it, I can reframe it and get utility out of that, especially when folks are gone, which is a huge pain point, right? Budgets are being curtailed. So if you have someone for a short period of time, or even extras and crowds or incidental background people now can be placed, and it looks remarkably better than 2D compositing, right? It gives you more options. It's a higher level of visual fidelity. And these are things that are very exciting to VFX artists, to VFX supervisors who are very particular about what looks good and what doesn't look good. So right now, if you were to go and search 4D Gaussian splatting, you're going to see literally hundreds, if not thousands of videos. That's across the story ecosystem. So some are like for social media, some are for branded content. So we tend to live in the place where everyone is just particularly, they're very particular about how something looks. And even though it might look good in 90% of the places where stories play, it does not look good for certain TV shows and feature films where you still have to apply the craft of polishing, of getting it done. So it ends up being an additive tool. It's not replacing anything meaningful from my perspective. At least I haven't seen it. In fact, most of the time when you apply AI, you have to fix it. It's kind of a pain in the ass. But it is super helpful, you know? So that's just another perspective to the quote unquote controversy.
Yes, and
So I would say going back to the people, I think there's some people that have just decided that, AI is not for me and and all this stuff.
Jess.
And it's just like, get with the program, brother. Get with the program, like sister. Like if you're either in or you're out. You're gonna be out. Like, so get on the train.
Yeah, and
can
Go
I
ahead,
jump on that
James. Yep.
bandwagon?
Yes,
Just
yes,
while
yes.
we're all getting up here. I'm suspicious. I'm very, very suspicious about people who say that it's taking jobs. Things are definitely changing. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. It's uncomfortable, and the more uncomfortable it is, it's like, wow, this is really a period of great change. I have always thrived, and those who have thrived amongst periods of great change, this is your time, right? And as Rami said, I'd just like to reinforce that. The role of the human is becoming more valid, right? It's becoming more important because we are the ones who are on top going, that's not quite right. What is happening to us, just like I told at the top of the thing, when I got sped up in distribution, we are now being positioned on the production side to work faster than we have ever worked before. That may be uncomfortable for some, but buckle up. This is what's happening. And so we're getting augmented. We're working very, very quickly, and not more, not with a lot more energy, but we're getting a lot more throughput. And the decisions that matter amongst us humans, we're being paid to make those decisions. And actually, I'm getting paid more for less time than I ever have in my career.
That's an amazing point. And I think we're all in violent agreement that, it's interesting what you said, Jess, is, we get suspicious about people that don't, embrace it. I mean, the entire industry for the last 100 and whatever years has been rooted in technological advancement and in a constant time of change and tasks being eliminated by technology and new tasks being created. You could go on and on with an unlimited amount of examples. And today with AI, the people who have leaned into it the most are the first to find all its limitations and, in fact, go first full circle and say, I'm even more important than ever before, not less. And it's the ones that are threatened and don't use it, that don't have enough education about it, that maintain this state of fear. A quick anecdote: I have a very good filmmaker friend of mine who's as threatened by it all as ever as anyone could be. And he made a comment recently. He goes, "Did you see the Brad Pitt, Tom Cruise, fight that was AI generated?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "It was terrible. That'll never work." I'm like, exactly. Why then? Why are you
What are you worried about?
Yeah. It is interesting, and I don't think there's these push button. You push a button and it's done kind of situations that are going to happen in visual storytelling. And I think we all agree that what you said on the top, James, taste and judgment, is where we're gonna really.
May I give just a quick? Thank you. I think. Thanks for agreeing with me. There is like a 3-minute anecdote I want to tell about, if we have time, for about a director who was completely accelerated through a creative process by this. Do we have time?
We do,
right.
But try to do the 2-minute version.
Yeah, here we go. Dan Thron, not really suspicious of AI, but didn't quite understand what it could do for him. He said, "Yeah, James, I'm really not going to do it until I can do what I want to do with it." And I said, "What do you want to do with it?" He said, "I want to actually recreate Moby Dick." I said, "Moby Dick? I've seen Moby Dick." He goes, "Yeah, you've seen Moby Dick, but that's not what the book is. The book is 149 chapters of odd political philosophy and weird, funny stuff and very strange things that if you didn't read the book, you'd never know about. And I need to go make that movie, because what we get is this weird movie about whaling." And that's not what the book is. So what do you need to do that with? Well, I need to turn that into a screenplay. Well, how do we do that? Because, well, I need a writer to go in and break up all 149 chapters into the following systems, because it's well known what you need to give to a writer in order to take a book and turn it into a screenplay. And I said, well, why don't you go ahead and take a chapter, your favorite chapter, and do that for me? And he goes, okay, here you go. Here's chapter 119. I said, okay, well, give me some time here. 15 minutes later, I called him back up and said, okay, I have a thing called the Summarizer. It will take every single chapter of Moby Dick, which is open source, and you can now get exactly what you want from every single chapter. That took me 15 minutes. So his brain began to melt, and he said, well, are you sure it's actually in the format that needed for a screenplay? Well, let's double check. And we checked with, I think we were using Sonnet at that point, and I said, yeah, we can make some changes. So another 10 minutes went by, and finally he said, well, can I make images? And I said, yes, it can. So we got some reference images going, and within 45 minutes, he had gone from, I want to be able to enable a team to make my Moby Dick, to suddenly at the end of 45 minutes, he was talking to me about the shot that he wants to make from the reference image. He wants to dolly left and go through the people and do this thing. And then he's settling on Ishmael. And I said, stop. You are now having a conversation that you should be having with your DP. And frankly, I think your production designer needs to show up too. And did you forget the writer? He still needs to write that part of it. But boom, in 45 minutes, he had what he wanted and needed in order to make his Moby Dick.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
that's amazing.
Yeah, that's a good example. Okay, well, let's close that part of the discussion by saying education, look at these tools. History of media and entertainment has been rooted in technology. You can't all of a sudden wake up and decide you're going to turn your back on technology.
It's just, think of it as a continuum.
That's right.
What James just said. So you could be someone that's in a circumstance where you build a story from soup to nuts on your own, out of thin air, or you can use the same technology to plan and prototype something you do in the physical world with, guess who? People.
That's right.
And then it becomes kind of an architectural blueprint, and it's like 100 times better than it was 10 years ago.
That's right.
That is bananas, but true, right? And people have to comprehend that there's a continuum. You cannot abstract it into some simple thing. It's beyond. Right. And it's going on at the same time across every parameter. I used something similar to James to design an avocado orchard. I would have had to hire a consultant for 2 months for what I was able to derive, down from the water, agriculture, replenishment, the right seeds, the sun.
Now, some people might challenge that and say, well, who lost their job in that process? Right. But that's kind of the wrong. That's
it is the wrong way. Why is it wrong?
Yeah.
It is wrong. Why is it wrong? I know why it's wrong. Because Rami was now augmented and enabled to actually build something which he probably never would have done, because he had a first step problem. And that's what this augmentation does. It gets you past the first step.
Now maybe a new project that never was meant to be emerges that does create jobs and things.
I'm going to have to hire someone.
Okay. Yeah,
isn't that ironic? Because my wife would have freaked out if I hired a consultant to design an avocado orchard. She'd be like, "What the hell are you doing?"
That's right.
Now
I want to talk about.
Reference.
I want to talk about the new studio backlot, but Jess, I'll let you have the last.
Well, I just want to say, I'm sitting literally in a building that's been having all of the physical things for every major television show and movie since the 1970s, and they have allowed us to come in and make a copy of everything they've got on the shelves. So if anyone has anything to say about what's going on in the industry, I mean, like, the owners of this building understand what's moving forward. They understand that their business, the physical things, they're still going to be needed, but as long as they have that copy and they're in business with us, well, then they've just made the right decision. It took a year plus to get the deal, but everyone needs to get on board.
That's right. Thank you. Well put. We kind of teed it up at the beginning. We talked about it before the four of us. Traditionally studios built these amazing backlots and you feel like you're in New York, and they're modular and you can dress them up and do everything you want with them. Or European, streets or what have you. How does all of that change? And when you think about these virtual environments and Gaussian splats and the rest of it, it almost feels like, well, you don't need those backlots anymore. And then feels like the backlots are on hard drives, basically in a data center. Is that a fair way to put it? James, you have your hand up.
Oh, thank you. Um, the I don't know why people are trying to say one thing exists now the other one doesn't. This is silly, right? And I think what it will sort of engender is tastes, right? Tastes will say, you know what?
Options.
It's options. I like my sets real. I just do. So I like to shoot real stuff. Okay, buddy, go shoot real stuff. No one's stopping you, but there's going to be a lot of people who are like, oh man, I'd love to shoot some real stuff, but actually I'll get by with this really incredible backlot that I have at my disposal. I think it's options. Yes, it's about options.
Yeah, I just want to add to that. What is starting to develop is you'll have a circumstance where there's no money to produce a certain scene. And as a result, people can create it virtually, and then they can now do that scene. That's a solve in many people's perspectives. Otherwise, you can't do that scene. And this could be at the enterprise level or prosumer level. The matter of the fact is, I don't see physical things going away at all. Because the people we work with really like physical things. However, it's now an additive tool where I can do something I couldn't have afforded to do because I can't build that one physical thing. I wish I could, but I can't. There's no money. So now you can. So maybe we look at it from a more optimistic standpoint. It's a solve. Now you can do something that's photoreal and maybe for one or two scenes, but that is very important to the storytellers. So this will all be driven by the visionaries, the storytellers, and then the particulars of how you tell your story is where the battle right now, right? The controversy of it all. But if you look at it from the standpoint of achieving a story that is a vision, and someone knows what that vision is, then I think, it'll play out more as a tool as opposed to something that destroys our industry.
Well, it sounds like you're agreeing that the optionality. Jess, I mean, anything else, like what happens when
I have a funny analogy. So there's a very large show that's going to be filming at my house, actually. I live in the Hollywood Hills, and I have an aggressive driveway.
Oh my God, your driveway is the worst.
I have a copy of my driveway. I have a scan of my driveway. But the reason they want to film at my driveway is there's going to be like the actor having to go up my driveway or go down my driveway. There's going to be acting of a human involved in that situation of the driveway. Okay. So that's why they're filming there. Yes, we could put it on stage. I have the copy, but the option is that you still want the performance, right? You still want someone sweating their ass up my friggin' driveway,
45-degree incline, easy.
Well, Seth has been on my driveway, and James, I know you've been on my driveway, so yeah.
I want to go.
Yeah,
you gotta come. We have lots of parties.
We all stalk Jess. That's
yeah. We all stalk Jess. We all want to hang out at the top of her driveway.
Yeah,
not on her driveway. Yeah. And just one other thing, we don't forget, we talked about VidViz, right? Which is what I call it, which is this sort of capability of enabling the conversation between the cinematographer, the writer, and the director, and frankly, the production designer too at this point, because they're contributing an asset, which then can be used before we actually shoot. It's called, what's the word for it? Oh yeah, rehearsal. We get to rehearse the actual camera moves with a cinematographer who actually is in his interest to figure out the language of cinematography with the director before they shoot. And that's what a lot of this enables too. And that's what Favreau was doing, and all these, a lot of anyone who's trying to previs the camera shot before they actually capture it. This is all enabled by these technologies.
And James can say that because I'll brag for you that James did work with Jon Favreau on Mandalorian, so he can say that.
Yeah, well, a lot of us did.
Yeah,
a lot of us did.
So, I forgot we're recording this, and this is going to be viewed by lots of other people because I'm having such a great time talking. But I'm imagining there might be some questions that people have as if they're actually listening to this. at some point, and that is when about provenance and rights and trust and things like that. And Jess, you've been navigating tricky studio situations, and without naming names and calling anybody out, you described a confidence layer for lawyers, kind of a way it sounded like to serve up, situations on a platter for them in a way that they can consume a little more easily, because we know that that's a huge sticking point is when you're trying to win business. So, like, what information has to accompany a digital asset before a studio can use it? And I guess talk about that part of the process if you
I
can.
mean, you have creative dreams and then you have legal realities, and this is what's going on, right? So anyone can prompt their way into, using this model or that model, and some of the models are, not approved by anyone from certain countries, So I think there's a lot of what's out there is really enticing to creatives that they want to be able to use these things, but then it's never in a million years going to pass through clearance. So I think, specific to what I found and what we're doing is, I know there's a thing sitting on a shelf, and if I have a copy of it and I could put it into a world, I know I can clear it because it's been cleared since the 1970s, because it was on a shelf and it got put in a room, and lawyers from all the studios have already approved these things. So that's just the model I've gone down road. I think, 1 year, 2 year, 3 years from now, more of these models are going to get approved and cleared. But I think we're in that shakeup right now. So I think as a creative and a business owner, all of the legal packets that I'm getting as a vendor, and I'm sure James and Rami are also getting the packets of how we can deliver this work. It's a trade-off right now, right? Like, and Rami knows, like, these creatives have amazing dreams, and yes, I can go do it, but I can't use that model. I can't do that because I can't deliver it. I'm your vendor. I'm signing on the dotted line as the business owner, So
Yeah.
we're in a shakeup right now.
Rami, any thoughts on that? Are you encountering any, I don't know,
It-
issues or have insights on that? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we've almost gotten into a situation where things went south with a ginormous company, but it didn't, because right now they're looking for a reporting framework. Like, as a vendor or as an artist, if you're involved with new tools like AI, the idea is to report, give everyone a heads up what you're doing, especially if you're commingling with tools, whether hardware, software, that have a public facing kind of dynamic to them, as opposed to a walled garden where you are essentially taking responsibility for the data, right? A private bare metal, or like, I will take the responsibility and you'll sign on the dotted line, right? So right now we're in both places. We work with public companies that are tip of the spear, technology, innovation, as well as private walled garden environments, because certain clients want that type of protection, right? They don't want to even associate their IP with someone else's public anything, whether it's cloud or technology or whatever.
Like, if a tool produces like amazing work but cannot explain where the inputs came from, I mean, is it effectively unusable still? Are you running into this, any of you, for professional production? I mean, does it?
Yeah.
Well, go ahead, Rami.
It could be rejected, because once you report, say, where did you get this from and how did you get it, or how did you do it? When you list the very particulars, the granularity of what it is and how you did it or got it, yes, sometimes they'll say you can't use that. And that's that. And that's usually like above our pay grade oftentimes. Sometimes corporations have squabbles, and then there's people working kind of in the hand-to-hand combat part of it that actually get along and collaborate. Everything is fantastic. Innovation, collaboration, but sometimes, political and legal upstream dynamics overrule all the activity and innovation that's happening downstream.
Rami, that can't be true. I've always heard that politics and it was like the grassroots power behind innovation. Listen,
Jess,
it's
you look like
ridiculous.
you're jumping.
Oh, I was just gonna say, we showed a little bit of one of my promo videos. That was made with Seedance, and there's no one that I know that'll approve Seedance right now.
Right.
But you saw it looks pretty good, right? So
Yeah. Boo, boo, boo. No, here's the thing. It's this sort of the fact that you have to explain to anyone and this is what I'm getting a little tired of. And I would ask people who suddenly instinctively just had this knee-jerk reaction about anti-AI. I think the pushback will be real working people are going to get really tired and look at you funny if you keep telling them what tools they can use to do their job. So I think that this pendulum will swing back, and I think that so just everyone out there, think about what it is that you're booing. It's okay for you to be anti-AI. I'm just saying, I'm going to push back. The other thing is that all of you talking about these really, you're dealing with the $200 million, $150 million, $50 million projects. I am finding none of this in the $5 to $10 million world because it's a world of negative pickups. And in those worlds, the production entity is taking on all of the liability. And so we are back in 1971, as far as I'm concerned. I'm working with small production companies that are getting enabled by private equity, and they're financiers who are packaging along these new channels. And again, they're barreling ahead. So a lot of this stuff will get sort of sorted out up there amongst the muckety mucks, the great contributors to vision, the lawyers and the politicians. Meanwhile, down at the $5 to $10 million range, it's 1971, and we're having a great time, and we're just plowing forward.
That's an interesting perspective. So as we start to wrap up this session, because I could go on for hours. I don't know if you guys could. I would need some coffee at some point. But as we start to, let's kind of come up with some useful takeaways for folks that might be curious. Well, what the heck does this mean for me? And let's kind of also try to imagine in 2030, right? 4 years from now, which is only 4 years, but 4 years, right? It's like we can't even predict what that might look like, but doing our best crystal ball, what should people working in production, we're talking about studios, smaller creators, the full gamut. What should people working in production, post, and VFX begin learning now so that they're more valuable 5 years from today? Like, what kinds of things do you think will be obvious, in 4 or 5 years from now? Rami.
Digital hand here. I think it makes a lot of sense for folks to create or build a digital colleague designed, architected by themselves that makes their life more dynamic, more interesting, more productive, more creative, more technical. I think that makes a lot of sense because you are empowering yourself. And think of just how awesome our industry is. It is a one-of-a-kind intersection of technology, the sciences, and creativity. How could you make that up? That's what we are. And it's just like, so imagine how more interdisciplinary we can all be with the assistance of tools like this. To me, that is hyper exciting. And again, I'm not trying to be optimistic for the sake of being optimistic. There's a lot of melancholy in our industry right now. I mean, it's regressed profoundly, right? But at the same time, imagine how we can expand our crafts by expanding ourselves.
Love it. Who's next? Thank you, Rami. That was great.
You want to go, Jess?
No, go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, it'd be nicer if you close it out because mine's a little bit more technical. And that is when Rami says build an agent, which is what he's saying. I would just look, I made my entire career schlepping the data for all you people. I schlepped your data. I was digital janitorial services.
What do you mean, you people?
You know what I mean. You people. So it was fun. It was a great way to make a buck, but it was the transportation department of filmmaking. So for me, it's always about the data and knowing where the data flows. And in this case, when you build your agent, I want you all to take special care. And you can talk to the Claudes of the world, the ChatGPTs. You can talk to these things and say, I want to work with you, but I want to be able to take my memory and store it somewhere else. And it will point you to things like GitHub and some other database solutions. But my point is, you should definitely build an agent that is agnostic from any particular Claude, Gemini, because it's being subsidized right now, and it's going to be unsubsidized very quickly. And so if you don't take advantage of this time right now, it's going to be a lot more expensive for you to do what we're telling you to do. And so it's really crazy eddies out there as far as like,
Yep.
what we're paying and what we're getting. $200 gets us $5,000, so take advantage of that and do what Rami tells you.
Thank you,
Yeah,
James. That's
remember
great. Jess,
remember
what-
when when Uber was miraculously affordable? That's what
Yeah.
James is talking about.
That's right.
That's
That's
right.
where we are.
I
Jess,
mean,
last word.
my words of wisdom are to F around and find out with AI, like, and make, if you're working within a studio, go buddy up with, legal and understand, where the studio is coming from or where the company's coming from and where everyone's minds are at in that time and point. And then be the one that has answers, that understands where they're going with legal, because then you'll win the game, and you'll be a huge asset to your team.
Amazing words of wisdom. And it's just so interesting because you guys are so in it. I mean, you're in this, you're in the thick of it, you're in the weeds. Couldn't have thought of better people to have this conversation with. Thank you all so much. And for anyone that found value in this, thank you. You can reach out to all of them. Don't reach out to me because I don't know anything, but reach out to them.
Thank
Yeah, you can
Zach.
reach out to me. I'm in a service business. Yeah.
Find me on
Thank
LinkedIn.
you all.
I'm on LinkedIn. I'm a LinkedIn lady.
Yeah, you are. And on Instagram and on TikTok.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks all.